Welcome to Garden Connections. We are going to talk first today about honey, and as you can see we have this lovely demonstration hive that we're going to learn more about, and Andrew Pruett is here from Honeymoon Honeybees, and he's going to tell us all about how to take care of them and what you might do to have a hive in your backyard. Welcome to the program, Andrew. Thanks for being here.
Yep.
So how long have you been involved in raising honeybees?
I've been involved for 5 years. I've been reading about them for 7, and I've learned an enormous amount in that time.
Wow.
It's a real passion.
It's a real passion. What do you love most about honeybees?
For me, it's working with the bees. The more I work with the bees, the more I feel in touch with my inner self.
Okay. All right. You were talking earlier, it's almost meditative to work with them. You get really
very
calm.
much. You have to pay attention to them, and you forget about what it is that was bothering you 20 minutes ago. Right, yeah. You focus, and you lose track of the stress of the day.
Wow.
And if you do something wrong, the bees let you know, and you've got to pay even more attention.
You know, that is, you talk about relaxation and losing the stress of the day. Bees sometimes are a creature that many people fear.
There's a huge fear of honeybees, and I deal with that quite a bit. I can remember one instance where I was working with my bees, and I came around the side of the house, and I had my bee suit on, and one of the teenagers from the area happened to be in the driveway, and he's like, "Oh my God, that's not scary at all." So yeah, bees. There's a large fear of bees because there is, the potential for an anaphylactic reaction, and it hurts.
People are highly allergic.
Yeah,
okay. And if you get stung, it hurts.
And if you're not expecting it, it hurts even more.
It's a surprise. Let's look at this hive a little bit. You built this wonderful demonstration hive so we can see what happens inside. So kind of explain the parts to this hive. I'm assuming this is kind of honeycomb area.
Yeah.
In here. I'll let you point those out, and I think maybe we can even see the queen in here
We
today.
might be able to see the queen. She's definitely in here. What we have in this observation hive is a representation of what you would have in a normal beehive divided by 10. So you have a single deep frame here. You would have 10 frames in each deep of your beehive, and those frames, whatever the bees do in those frames, that's for the bees.
That's their honey for their food.
Their honey, that's their pollen, it's where they have their eggs, their brood, it's where they do all the things that bees need to do to live.
Can we identify the queen in here at all?
The queen is right here, and she's cleaning her abdomen. You can see her, she's the big long organism there.
Yep.
And if we're lucky, she'll stick her abdomen down in the hole, and you see all these bees around her that are facing her. We call those attendant bees. And they are connecting with her with their antenna and their feet maybe, and definitely their proboscis, and she's releasing pheromones. And those pheromones are telling these bees what she wants them to know, which is that she's there, they need to remain calm, and that they can go on doing their work. And each one of those bees will then leave her, and they'll touch another bee, and they'll touch another bee, and they spread that pheromone around the hive. When the queen is not present, those pheromones are gone, and the bees become anxious. They know there's a problem, and that's one of the keys that that will trigger them to begin raising new queens.
Well, we are back in the studio where it is a little bit warmer, and we are talking bees, and Andrew is going to show us the components of a beehive. We're going to talk about how you might put one of these together for your own backyard. And so we start out with the bottom, which is about how big?
Oh gosh,
18 by 24?
18 by, something like that.
And here we have, you call this an entrance reducer,
yes.
And it's got a couple different notches in it. So this is a larger one.
That one's for the spring.
And this one is a very small one.
For the winter time.
For the winter time, okay.
And then we just get rid of it for the summer.
And you just take it out completely.
And that protects the bees.
And the bees come in through the bottom.
Here's their little landing pad.
All right,
yep,
sounds
exactly.
good.
Just take it out.
Just take it out?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
And then the next piece is...
So we're gonna move that over here. And the next piece we put on
deep.
top.
This goes on top.
And these are the larger ones that you mentioned are for the bees.
Correct. This is their home. And the stuff that you see inside here is the furniture, what we call the furniture of the hive. So these are frames, deep frames, for the brood and whatever else the bees need to do. This one here, so if I pull this one out, this is what the bees are living on. And the discoloration tells you the pattern that they're building on. This is where the bees would be, this is where the honey would be, and the pollen. And then just go ahead and set that off to the side.
Okay.
If you're going to go chemical free, you need to have a drone comb like this, And this is part of an integrated pest management strategy. And if we hold these two next to each other, so you can see that the holes here, the comb here, is smaller than the comb here.
Yes.
This is where the male bees are raised and where they will die. This is a...
and how do they know it's different?
Well, they made it. They did this themselves, and they did it because I asked them to by putting this particular green drone comb in, which has an imprint of a larger comb, which is what they will build the drone comb out of.
So you give them a little encouragement.
I do, yes,
Okay.
and you have to. The bees will not do what you want them to do without you asking.
Okay.
So we can put that back
these
in
go
there.
in here.
When you have 5 of these filled, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then you can think about adding a second deep. And then when you have 5 of those filled, so you've got 10 total frames, you can add a third deep.
So we've got a couple more parts to go on here.
Once you have filled your deeps with bees, you are ready for your supers.
This is the part for us.
This is the part for us. The bees are working for us entirely here.
Okay, these are the shorter ones.
Yep, they're called supers or shallows, and the honeycomb, which is right here, you can see it, they'll draw that out. It takes 8 pounds of honey to make 1 pound of wax. So if you're doing bee economics, your first year of beekeeping is going to be very expensive for the bees. They're not going to make a lot of honey. It's your second year of beekeeping, and third and fourth and so on, that you have the production
part.
of
And to
honey.
get this out, you have a tool here, some kind of a scraper tool that will...
This is a decapping tool, and you just, and I won't do it here, but you rake it across, and it cuts the cappings off of the honey because you can't get to the honey. This is actually plastic coated in beeswax so that we can have strength to put this in a centrifuge and spin that honey out, and then it runs down.
So you just break it open and spin it out.
Exactly.
All right, great.
Yep.
All right, what's our next layer here?
So you've got your super there, and then you've got a dual purpose inner cover. So this inner cover in the summertime sits like so on the hive, and this hole is covered so that the bees aren't going in and out, and all it is a place for them to, bees like to do something called propolize the hive, and propolis is a, it's kind of like an antibiotic that the bees create out of plant immune systems, and they glue with it. It also acts as a glue, and they do that to this, and I can't get my beehive open if I don't have this inner cover in there. They glue the hive cover down.
A little protection, they don't want you in there.
Well, exactly. And in the wintertime, you put it on this way so that the bees have an entrance that is out of the snow.
Okay.
So this goes on top of the hive here, just like so.
Great.
And then you have your telescoping top cover, which has got the protective metal on here so that the bees will be protected from the elements. This is a great, you know, if it hails or snows or whatever, you keep the water off the bees.
Right.
And this goes on top like so. And then you put a big rock on it.
Put a big rock. Because who's going to come mess with your hive?
It depends on where you live, but for the most part, it's the wind. Yeah, the wind will blow the top off. We have the straight line winds in Minnesota that can be problematic.
Yes, that's
if you're further north, you have issues of bears. And though a rock isn't going to keep a bear out, at least you'll know if something is investigated. They might knock the top off or whatnot, the rock. I've had deer come up and knock the rock off. Really, there isn't an animal around here that's going to cause us any trouble.
Not too much trouble. It's primarily the wind.
It's the wind.
We are talking about honeybees with Andrew Pruett here today, and honey is one of my favorite things that comes out of a hive. Not the only thing, but let's start with the honey. And where can you find honey that you know is produced, say, in your neighborhood or in your area? How do you find a honeybee guy to get local honey from?
Well, you ask around, you know, does somebody know somebody? And usually they do. There are a large number of beekeepers in the area, in Minnesota especially. We're the 8th largest honey producing state in the country.
Wow, okay.
So, yeah.
So there's bound to be someone.
Absolutely, and if you know the person, you're going to get high quality honey. It's going to have all of the health benefits that you're looking for. The closer to your home you can get it, the better. What I usually tell people is if you know that the honey was produced within 200 miles of your home, it will have the pollens and the allergens in it that you're looking to expose yourself to develop a resistance over time and to reduce your allergic reactions to whatever you might have.
Great health benefits to honey
Yep.
as well. So perhaps a little bit different than what you might find in the grocery store, depending on where you shop.
Yes, you need to look at the label. You know, where was it produced? Where was it packaged? Because they could be two different things, and if they don't tell you, that should be a red flag.
Okay, look for somebody like Andrew. All right. Other things that can come out of a hive. And you actually use a lot of products.
We do.
Create a lot of products from what comes out of the hive.
Yep. You can get pollen. You can do lip balms. You can do skin creams. We do both of those. You can do fire starters. You can do candles. Loads of candles.
All kinds of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, great. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for exposing us to the world of honeybees. We won't be afraid anymore. You can hardly hear these guys anymore. When they first came in, they were buzzing like crazy, and they're very relaxed now. So.
Yeah, they get calm when you leave them alone.
All right, terrific. Well, thanks again. And thank you for joining us here on Garden Connections. We look forward to seeing you next time.
On Garden Connections, we'd love to see photos of your garden. Or if you have questions for our garden experts, contact us by emailing garden@ksmq.org or like us on Facebook.